All right, we're here with Rusty from Electric Mary. How you doing, Rusty?
Hey man, I'm very cool, and as you can see, I'm the I in Imagine.
Very good indeed. Yeah. Hecklers in North Perth. Beautiful.
Sing me a song of the piano, man.
You've recently come back from some shows in Europe and Japan. How are audiences over there taking to Electric Mary?
Oh, awesome.
You were talking about those burnouts, weren't you?
Nothing like a good burnout on a Saturday afternoon.
Absolutely.
Europe was last year around November time. It was amazing. It was the first time we'd been to Spain. Did a few shows there. That worked really well because we've been booked to do another 10 this November, which is also very cool. And a few weeks ago we just got back from Japan, and what a great place, you know. They looked after us really well. We did a couple of shows in Tokyo and Osaka, and Rusty called Osaka Tokyo about 3 times during the night. But hey, yeah.
Was that a sake influenced?
No. There was no alcohol in my body at the time or later. It was just I think it was very much a Homer Simpson moment. Yeah.
Do you find that you get more media attention when you're overseas than back here in Australia?
To be honest, yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess we're to everyone, we're an overseas act. We get a lot of print media over there, a real lot of print media in Europe, and quite a bit in Japan too. You know, we spend a lot of time playing there in blocks, whereas in Australia we don't do it that way because we can't play every week. It's impossible. We'll run out of audience. I mean, you know, one of my favourite stories is if you jump in a car in Melbourne and drive to Sydney, you don't play any shows, but it's a 10-hour drive. If you jump in a car in France, you'll go through 3 countries and play 20 shows. You know what I mean? It's a big difference.
And the population, of course.
Well, because of the population. The population is 20, 30-fold by our standards, and
Does it irk you that the Australian media, television, mainstream print, street press don't get behind bands like Electric Mary?
Not really, to be honest with you, and I know that's going to sound really silly, but there's a lot of good bands out there that nobody knows. There's other bands from Australia that tour Europe as well. And there's a lot of other great bands in Australia that have deals. I mean, because we're self-managed, self-funded, it's always going to be harder to, get in the face of the press. If we had more money, we could do things. And again, that's another reason we can't, play all the time. Otherwise, if it was, 1983, we'd spend 2 weeks in Adelaide, back to Melbourne, a week in Perth, back to Melbourne, 2 weeks in Sydney, back to Melbourne, 2 weeks in Brisbane, back to Melbourne. That's the way we used to do it. But, those gigs aren't around anymore. All those people are now sitting in cafes, sipping lattes and checking they haven't got a message on their iPhone instead of listening to rock and roll like you and I.
Why do you think that sort of people, don't go to gigs anymore? Like, as you said, in the early 80s when I was just starting to go out, I was 16 in 83.
Yeah.
Every gig, every weekend was packed. A hard rock band, a local hard rock band playing originals could have 3 residencies a week.
Yeah.
How do we get people to get back out to gigs?
Well, I just think there's a cultural thing. We have a lot of different people in Australia now who necessarily don't do the hard rock thing or the rock and roll thing. They might do the doof doof thing or the rap thing or the, whatever it is. There's a lot more things for people to do and see now. I mean, the stories I know, I have an older brother. Back in the day, you worked, you went to the pub at night, at the pub was a band. On the weekend you played sport, and then the week started again. And when I was younger, I saw bands Actually, I was telling Alex tonight. Today, I was telling Alex today that this kind of Saturday afternoon, I could have seen Cold Chisel or Midnight Oil play
Wow.
on a Saturday afternoon in Melbourne, because there was a few gigs that had Saturday afternoon shows, and Saturday night somebody else would be on at that place.
Times have changed, eh?
Yeah, well, bands. I read something today when I was doodling through Facebook. Someone said a band now has to be, songwriters, tax accountants, computer savvy. Whereas once upon a time that was what record companies did, or you hired publicists or whatever. Now they expect that the band has to do all of it. And, some of them are like that. Some of them just want to write and play music. I mean, that's my domain. I just want to play. Like tonight, I can't wait for that, We got up at 5 this morning. We caught a plane over here. We didn't catch a plane over here to see the sights. We come to, play rock and roll. We're going home tomorrow.
Well, that leads me nicely into my next question, which is, you're up at 5 o'clock, you fly over here, you're running around sorting out hotels, you come to the gig, you spend all afternoon setting up and sound check and blah, 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 play your show, have a couple of drinks, get up tomorrow and you bugger off on the plane again.
Yeah.
What is it about the rock and roll lifestyle that keeps you doing it?
There's a kind of energy that you can't explain that runs through your body, an adrenaline, if you want to call it, like a music adrenaline, that runs through your body when you're playing music. As soon as we start Let Me Out, I just know I'm on. I'm just waiting for the boys to go in, and then I'm there. I love it. We love it. That's what we do. I mean, can you imagine in Spain, we're going to be getting up at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. every morning. We're going to do 10 shows in 11 days. We're going to drive 5 and 6 hours a day, get to sound check, play, have something neat, play a gig, go back to the hotel room, get up again in the morning and do the same thing over. Now, the Spanish were quite taken aback last year. They said, what, you're going to drive 12 hours and you're going to play tomorrow? And we're like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's what we do. So, I don't know. Some people want to do it, some people don't want to do it. Fortunately for Electric Mary, we had 5 people that love doing it. That's what they do. Hey, there's arguments and all that sort of rubbish that goes on, but you'll see tonight, when we step on stage, it's all about the music. Yeah.
So when Erwin Thomas left last year...
2 years ago.
2 years, was it that long?